Oke, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Uh,
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
okay, good afternoon, everyone. Um, Welcome to all of the participants for today's event. So let me introduce myself. My name is Aryo Akbar and greeting from Universitas Islam Yogyakarta, Islam Indonesia, Yogyakarta, Indonesia. I'm glad to welcome you again in the third pre-lecture event, which part of learning from Mangunwijaya, program held by SIM Encounters, Museum Arsitektur Indonesia, and hosted by Universitas Islam Indonesia in Department of Architecture. First of all, welcome to the initiator of this program from SIM Encounters team, Berlin. Hello, Mrs. Sally Bello, Mr. Moritz Henning, and also Mr. Edward Kogel. Good afternoon. And also welcome to Mr. Setyadi Sopandi and Mrs. Avianti Arman from Museum Arsitektur Indonesia. And also welcome to the family and relatives from Father Mangunwijaya and Mr. Jaga Wasana and also Mr. Agus Tridiatno. And also welcome to the previous pre-lecturer speaker, Mr. Sergius Sutanto, and also Dr. Edward Kogel. Okay, here we also have some of the unit masters that already came to the session for today's. There is Parisa Musigakama and also Sasikan Srisopon from Rangsit University, Thailand, and also Dr. Sarizi Muhammad Sukri from University Malaya, and also Fania Dwi Amanda Surya from Universitas of Indonesia, and also Mr. Hari Kurniawan from Universitas Gajah Mada, Mr. Wisnu Agung Hardiansyah from Universitas Gajah Mada, Indonesia, and also Mr. Abdul Robi Magzaya from UII, Mr. Faiz Hamdi Suprahman from UII, Mrs. Johanita Anggiarini from UII also, and also Mr. Muhammad Galih Gunagama from UII also, and also from Kala Salingam Academy of Research and Education, India. There is Mr. Chris Abisa, and also welcome to the Professor Johannes Widodo from NUS to the session today. And also welcome to all of our beloved friends and also participants for today's event over here. And then for today's topic, we will discuss about architecture and creative process of Yusuf Bilyarta Mangunwijaya, which will be presented by Mr. Wiryono Raharjo, M.Arch Ph.D. Hello, Mr. Wing.
Good afternoon, Pak Aryo. It's good to see you again.
Yes, usually we call him Mr. Wing. Make it.
I think that's easier for you to use that nickname.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wing. And then thank you for joining us. And then let me briefly introduce you in short about Mr. Wing. Mr. Wing studied architecture in Universitas Gajah Mada, Yogyakarta, and got his Master of Architecture in Delft University, Canada, and also got his doctorate program in University of Melbourne. And currently, Mr. Wing is active in teaching architecture in UII and also become the Vice Rector for Partnership and Entrepreneurship in UII. And Mr. Wing is also concerned a lot about informal settlement in the scale of urban and also architecture. And we can see a lot of his research and also writing about that. And then it's also interesting because Mr. Wing have a direct experience to work together with Romo Mangun. Maybe later Mr. Wing will explain about and share about his experience to work together with Father Mangunwijaya. And then before we jump into Mr. Wing presentation, please let us to take the photo of you and also documentation over here together. Maybe Mbak Merlin or Mas Roshid can help us over here.
Okay. All right, Mr. Ari.
Okay, so here we got a lot of participants over here. There are 187. Maybe everyone can turn on your camera and give us your best smiles. Please, Mbak Merlin, can you?
Okay, I will count 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 for the first slide. Okay. And then continue to the second. Okay. The third. Four. 5. 6. 7. 8 the last. Okay, thank you very much for all the participants.
Okay, thank you, Mbak Merlin, for your help over here. There are a lot of page over here. Okay, so before we start Mr. Wiryono presentation, let me explain a little bit about our agenda for today's. So for today agenda, we will start with the presentation from Mr. Wiryono Raharjo. And also after that, we will continue the discussion about the creative architecture and creative process of Mangunwijaya. Okay, now without further ado, I think please, Mr. Wiryono Raharjo, the time and screen is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pak Aryo. Let me share my screen. I hope it works okay. So can you see the display?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you very much. All right. Good afternoon, good morning, and good afternoon, because we have colleagues from different parts of the world. I was informed that it's, 8 o'clock or more in Germany, right? It's almost 1:30 in Jogja. First of all, I'd like to thank the Department of Architecture, Universitas Islam Indonesia, for inviting me to share my experience of working with the Romo Mangun. So as directed by the conference organizer, the default title is Architecture and the Creative Process of Mangunwijaya. That was not my own title, but it's already given, right? But then I add a subtitle, an auto-ethnographic perspective, because most of the contents of this sharing document presentations are based on my personal experience of working with Romo Mangun between 1985 to 1987. I'll show you the proof later on, right? So almost 40 years ago, actually. So I was quite struggling to find a document that may not be published yet. I mean, in the books, right? Because many of Romo Mangun work are not published, right? And some of the works even not built, right? So one of the work that I'm going to share here is also hardly not built, right? But it's part of the milestone of of the creative process of Mangunwijaya. And I was quite lucky to join with his design team because at that time I was still a student. I was a student of architectures, undergraduate student of architecture at Gajah Mada University. In this presentation, I'd like to share 3 stories. The first one is my association with Romo Mangun, how I got to know him and how I decided then to join his design team, right? And then the second one, the lesson learned from several architecture projects. But I will focus only on the project that I'm familiar. There's a lot of books and that talk about Mangunwijaya. Not a lot of books, but Mangunwijaya himself, write a lot of books, right? And there are a lot of discussion about his work already. But now I'm going to focus on the one that I directly engage. And then the last one, I would like to discuss a little bit reflection about the legacy of Romo Mangun. You can see in the pictures to the left, this is just show how we had lunch, a daily lunch. So that's the situation daily because we had lunch break at 12 o'clock. When I was at the time I was assistant architects responsible for mechanical and electrical work of his design, right? And every 12 o'clock we had a lunch break and we eat together. But this one is quite special because this was
Jawaban Cok, kalau misalnya bapaknya bilang apa isi materinya nggak paham ya bahasa Inggris.
sorry. This was a lunch organized in behalf of the kick-off of the construction process of our studio, right? But it's already demolished. I will show you later on the pictures of that studio. So if last 2 weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken, Professor Kogel talked about Romo Mangun in Germany, right? So I'm going to continue a little bit of his presentations. As you may know, that Romo Mangun graduated from Germany in 1966, and then shortly after that, he went back to Indonesia and to Yogyakarta and joined the teaching force at Gajah Mada University, but he was not a permanent staff. In fact, he did that voluntarily, so he didn't get paid, right? So this is part of things that I would like to show you how I will say the altruistic mindset of Romo Mangun, right? So he did it voluntarily for a long time, 1966, and he resigned in 1982. All voluntarily, and he even co-initiated. Those you who graduated from Gajah Mada University may familiar. I'm not sure if still exists or not, but there are 2 units established by Romo Mangun at that time. The first one is called Design Center, and the second one is called Research Center. I worked for Design Center for 2 years as how do you call it, draftman, helping architects to draw the design and to produce the design document, etc. Right. So it was like coincidence that the design center was actually established by Mangunwijaya, and I got that experience, 2 years experience prior to my prior to joining the YPR. YPR stands for Yayasan Pondok Rakyat. I was introduced by my seniors. You can see the pictures to the left. Darwis Kudori, he's supposed to join this event, but I don't know if if he said that he is not able to attend this event because of some other things to do. But anyway, I was recruited by him to join the YPR in 1985. And meanwhile, from 1981 to 1986, Romo Mangun was quite active. After his resignation from Gajah Mada University, he focused his, I may call it again, altruistic power, to help the community on the riverbank of Code. Code is one of the 3 rivers that flow across the city of Jogja. So you can see this is the evidence of reference letter signed by Romo Mangun when I decided when the project finished, in 1987, and I decided to quit from that studio and join UII. So I moved to UII because after I finished this assignment. So officially, I joined I look after 2 projects as assistant architects. The first one is Surabaya University Campus Planning and Design, and the second one is Kedono Trappist Convent. So it's a convent located on the slope of Mount Merbabu in Central Java. During those 2 assignments, because Romo Mangun lived literally in Code, he has a cabin. You can see the pictures with McDonald's.
I'm sorry, Pak Wing.
Hello?
The screen is very small over here that you share. Maybe you can do
Really? Is it okay now?
No, because it's divided. The one is
okay.
Yes, maybe you can
Let me-
do the.
Okay, sorry. Let me okay. What about this one?
Yes, okay. Thank you.
Right. I'm
Mr.
so
Wing. It's
sorry.
very clear.
I cannot control the the result of sharing.
Okay.
So my background becomes dark. Okay. Right. So here I repeat again. The left documents shows the reference letter that an evidence that I work for him as an assistant architect responsible for looking after the 2 experts, mechanical and electrical, for the 2 projects, Surabaya University Campus Planning and Design and Kedono Trappist Convent. And so during those 2 assignments, because Romo Mangun lives in Kampung Code, so we often have to go there for a consultation. If I'm not mistaken, I also have got a chance to sleep in his cabin. I don't remember, but yeah, we frequently visited that kampung. So I'm quite familiar with the development of the Kampung Code, the process, the early process of development. So moving to the lesson learned, the second part of my presentation, lesson learned from the projects. I will focus on 3 projects I already mentioned to you. But let me first present the quote of the book. 2 weeks ago, Professor Kugel also displayed this book, but maybe focus more on the inner part of the books, right? But I was quite interested to look at the very first page. And if I read the quote, right? Buku ini ditulis untuk menghormati para tukang dan karyawan-karyawati lapangan yang dalam cara-cara mereka tertentu telah menjadi mahaguru arsitektur yang ulung bagiku. This is a very esoteric language, so I try to translated, and this is my closest translations, right? So if you read that, you can see that Romo Mangun is actually he's a person who loved to experiment, and his architectures and his sketch is always a result of integration between what he's seen, what he experiments, right? And also, of course, embrace the many theories, but he always look at the tectonics part of architectures. He did experiment himself. I remember he demolished, right, or he renovate part of our studio. I think you can Google Wisma Kuwera. Wisma Kuwera was used to be our temporary studio, but I'm not going to present that case there here. But yeah, the process of Wisma Kuwera was actually he conducted what I call design build. So a sketch and go, I call it. Sketch and give it to the construction worker, and then he built the construction worker constructed, and months after that he felt that it's not appropriate, and then he changed again, right? So it's not like you've a process where you finish all the design drawing and then you start to move to the construction process, right? So this is part of I would say a unique but expensive approach of how Romo Mangun, design some of the buildings. Right. So now I'm going to start discussing the lesson learned. Right. For me, looking at the case of Kampung Code, and then reading the book written by Darwis Kudori, I think this is probably the most comprehensive book ever written about Kampung Code, because this was actually the result of a research by Darwis Kudori, and during his study in IHS in Rotterdam, right? And then he ended up with more informations and published this in 2002. My observations, my direct observations, and also based on the story of this book, suggest that before the existence of Kampung Code, the settlements was a slum inhabited by informal workers, ranging from street vendors, becak driver, even prostitute. At that time, I think in the 70s, no one want to pass that street, the street that went towards the radio station RRI. We call it RRI. It has we don't feel safe in the night, right? Because of dark, and there's a lot of cases, right? At the time, right? So the informal workers face the threat of evictions from the local authority. So Father Mangun, let me move to this directly to this page. He did what I call rearrangement of Kampung Code. The left pictures shows the settlement before the arrival of Romo Mangun, right? And it is clearly shows that there are two parts of the settlements. The north part near the Kondolayu Bridge is the first part, and then the second part, the southern part, is divided by a small, I would say, a drainage. So sometimes the area is got flooded because of the heavy rain, right? And that's part of the reason why the governments wanted to eradicate this settlements, right? They plan to, at that time, there is a plan of changing the landscape of these riverbanks into a green belt, right? But there's a process of negotiation using architectures as I will say as a tools, right? And the result is you can see from in the pictures to the right, right? Before that, the settlements, the residents of these settlements, the slum, often they're not well organized, right? Even there is often a conflict between the North group and the South group, right? So one of the solution, an architectural solution proposed by Mangunwijaya was the building number 21, which is multi-purpose hall, community hall, that host many activities. So they often use that as a meeting place. So that's part of the solution. And I think until today, you can see this. The building still exists. These pictures I took in 2010, and I think today's that community hall, the one with the A shape, it still exists. I think many the residents deliberately preserve that. Right. I go back to the slides. I think if you read the book, this book, Vastu Citra, there is also a term that becomes, I think, the basis of architectural theory of Mangunwijaya, which is the combination of guna and citra, right? So, but guna is not just a use or functions, and citra is not just an image. It's well, we literally translate as use, but the use is not just how do you call it, spatial arrangements, but also a use of a certain part of building, like like a structural part of the building, right? And citra can also be a lot of things. It can also be decorations. It can also how the structures appear, right? And I would say that the development of Kampung Code is combinations of the power of guna and citra to negotiate for security of tenure. Number two is the one is the strategy, or I call it design build strategy. And you can see that in the community hall. The left was the sketch of Romo Mangun, a quick sketch. When you design a building in the informal settlement, you cannot wait too long, right? And this is why Romo Mangun just do the sketch. I call it sketch and go tactics, right? And that was also done with several projects, including Wisma Kuwera, right? And also this you can see this development of community hall from the beginning. I think the pictures to the left was taken. I took it from the Aga Khan Award website, but it does not exist anymore. But the left one, I took it myself. So it remains exist, right? And this pattern becomes, I would say, a trademark of Mangunwijaya pattern. He even designed his car. He has two cars, and both of them are Toyota Kijang, right? Toyota Kijang. The first one is the proper one with the cream color, and the second one is I think it's his official vehicle where he also designed the body himself, right? Using this pattern, right? So back to the story of Chote. So I'd like to look at the build form of Chote as a part of the strategy of the settlers to negotiate for security of tenure, and this is, I would say, happen in many cases all over the globe, right? How architectures start first. This is different from this one, right? The normal one, tenure acquisition in the formal settlements development, when, you know, all of you are familiar with the certificates of land ownerships and building permit, etc. Even the building is not exist, you already have a secure tenure, and then the architecture start later. So architecture start after you got secure tenure, right? But this one, architecture start before you got secure of tenure, right? So there is a high speculations that your building may got demolished, you know, you got eviction, and including the Kampung Code. At that time, the government plans to relocate the settlers and join the transmigrations. But then Romo Mangun mentions that they don't have the capacity to move to, you know, to outside Java. They're not farmers, right? So that's why he negotiate by involving students, you know, academics, and also the community himself, using appropriation of build forms, turning the build form into the work of art, you know, so that it stands out the crowd. So this is part of, you know, part of the strategy of this one, tenure negotiation, right? And soon after that, you know, it got infrastructure support like electricity and water connections, right? Especially during the general election. You know, during the general elections, some parties visited there, and they need to get more voters, right? So that's part of the strategy also for the informals to negotiate for facilities. And later on, that becomes, you know, the sense of permanence gets stronger, and they got what I call de facto tenure. Right. So Romo Mangun at that time organized not only students but also community. So I call it an assemblage of power that, you know, part of the negotiation process to maintain the existence of the informals. And these are part of the three groups that involved in the development of Kampung Code: the residents, the formal leaders, and the facilitators. All of them are they do it voluntarily, but of course, Mangunwijaya, I think he also funds the project using his own source of funding. So this is, again, I see that as a strong altruistic mindset. Kampung Code still exists at the moment, and how do you call it? Experience evolutions. So I see it as an adaptive informal settlements. The pictures to the left, I took it in 2010 after the eruptions of Mount Merapi. You can see the riverbank has a different landscape. The right one, I took it in 2018 after the implementation of M3K, right? M3K is also a grassroots movement of trying to use to control the behavior of people that live in the settlements along the river banks to reorient the building towards the river. So it stands for mundur munggah madep kali. Mundur is back off. You can see the my illustration. This the before the interventions. You don't have any path or for mobility, right? But after the interventions, there is a path in front of the house. So the house reoriented towards the river. And that creates a behavior of not throwing away the garbage to the river. Because if you treat the river as your backyard, then you tend to to throw away the garbage to the river, right? So M3K is quite successful in Jogja and also in Code River. You can see the quality of water from the color, right? No one do the, what do you call it, bathing and toileting in the river anymore today. Right. Lesson number 3. Managing design teams. Architecture is not only about creating a drawing or doing a visualizations. It needs a strong, solid team, right? And I know this was actually the first challenging projects received by Romo Mangun. So in 1985, he received commission project from the management of Surabaya University. I'm afraid that many of my colleagues in Surabaya don't know this history, right? Last time I met the rector, and he even asked me to, submit some of the pictures because they don't have any record on that, right? So the task was to prepare a master plan for Upaya campus. And at the Tenggilis, the area in Surabaya. At that time, Romo Mangun was alone, right? Well, he was also informally, of course, a friend of Darwis Hudori and some youth, right? So he need to handle the project professionally according to the formal standards. So then Romo Mangun established a formal entities called Yayasan Pondok Rakyat, or YBR. So YBR is actually an architectural consultant established to run this project. So this is not like a common practice today where the projects are handed to the architects after the clients know that you have professional entities. This one is not, right? This one the entities, the organization was built, established after Romo Mangun formally received the commission project. And I think it's very speculative on what he did, right? Because at that time, he recruited only the youth. Most of members of the design team were students, including myself, and fresh graduates. Darwis Hudori and another fellow, his name is Ketut Winarto. I don't know if he joined this event today. Was a fresh graduate. I think they only had 2 years experience prior to run this task, right? So, but Romo Mangun also invited senior experts, as I call it, design chaperone, including many of you may familiar with Ari Mustar Peju at Encona, right? And some of their fellows he invited to. Sometimes he asked us to go there and to have a conversation with them, right? Because and also to do a survey of the buildings, skyscrapers in Jakarta, to learn how they design, to learn about the construction, to learn about mechanical and electrical. So this is kind of a learning by doing a process, a capacity building process, very highly speculative, right? But we made it. The right one, you can see the pictures of the run is the design team and that is our studio, one of our temporary studio, because we moved 3 times. This is the second move, right? We have to. The first one was we rent a house, and then the contract finished, and then we have to move it to this temporary studio called Wisma Kuera, right? And this was my position during the my assignment designing this building. So that in the master plan, this building was called the main administrative building, and I don't know why the number of floors is 13, right? It's not 12, it's not 14, but 13, right? 13 floors, right? The chief architect was Romo Mangun, and the key person is actually Hudori and Minarto, because he is the one who translates Romo Mangun sketch, a quick sketch, to be to us to be delivered to us, and then we produce the design drawing, right? Then lesson number 4, Romo Mangun always, as I remember, he strongly used precedents, and this was quite challenging because Ubaya campus is located in Surabaya, right? So he wanted to use a precedent that represent East Java. So he took Penataran Temple as the main reference to generate the form for the main administrative building, and he's very strict on that, right? Can you imagine designing a multi-story building that I call it? He prioritized the role of Citra over Guna. You know, he want to have a strong image, but then we have to adjust, you know, the space inside, so that so that the image of Candi Penataran or Penataran Temple, the Hindu temples, can strongly appear as the icon of Universitas Surabaya. Right. These are a sample of drawing that I found. It does not exist anymore. I was lucky to made a photograph of this drawing in 1990, if I'm not mistaken, before I studied architectures in Canada, because they asked for a portfolio, right? So I found this, and now I don't know where they are, right? So I wish I could find it in some of my colleagues who used to work with Romo Mangun, right? So these are sample of drawing, and these are also what we call prototyping, right? It is not easy to understand the design without making this 3-dimensional studies. You know, so this is just part of it. We also make many other models, right? Bigger models to imagine the connection, you know, between the envelopes, the complex envelopes, and the inner part of the building, right? So if I'm not mistaken, some of the buildings were constructed, but this main building were not constructed, and I don't know why, right? Up to now, I've never heard any story behind the decision of not realizing this main administrative building, right? You can see this is some of the buildings that were constructed. We were there during the start of the construction of the faculty buildings. I'm not sure which faculty, if I'm not mistaken, this is probably Faculty of Economics. So you can also see the tectonics, how do you call it, approach of Mangunwijaya. You can see the how complex we draw the building envelopes so that the construction worker could understand, the composition of the wall, right, of the surface. Right. Number 5 is a lesson of dealing with international clients. This is quite interesting because Romo Mangun also got the assignment by the conference in Italy called Vitorciano. And at the time, the site was decided to be located in Kedono on the slope of Mount Merbabu. You can actually find a complete story about this in the website. But my point is not about the story in the website, because they don't tell the challenge of how we design this. The designer, Romo Mangun, actually don't really involved in this. So the key person was actually Darwis Hudori, right? So I see that as a process of capacity building of the junior architects. So when Romo Mangun felt that the Darwis already have enough capacity to handle the project, so he just let it go, right? So in one occasion, Darwis asked me to accompany him to have a consultation with the clients. And I did not expect at the time that the client could not speak English, right? It was very hard, right? It was a nun from Italy, and we had to conduct the conversation with a translations. So there's a translator, right? We show all the design document, right? A plan, a drawing of the plan. And I could see from her face that she could not understand, right? And she was almost rejected. But then we show the three-dimensional drawing, the perspective, and immediately she received that. She was happy, and no comments anymore. So we were at that time we were surprised. And we then came to the conclusion that okay, maybe she could not understand the architectural, the plan of the drawing plan, right? So, and I guess that's quite common. Later, this project got Indonesian Institute of Architects Award in 1993. So this is the condition, I think, at the moment, because at the time when I was also there, you can see the pictures when we had an inspection to monitor the construction progress. But when the construction finished, those nun mentioned to us, this is the last time you can enter this building, so you better make a documentations. Next, the following day you will not allowed. No one will, be allowed to. The public will not allowed to get in, right? So yeah, we made some of the document, but this one is the public area where you can actually enter. The public can actually, how do you call it? Enjoy the architectures of this convent. You can see that this is a part of a result of a collective learning process between the design and construction team, because at the time the construction team, although the mason was quite experienced, but the leader was not. It was a Romo, a father, a Catholic, a Romo, where he did not have enough experience in constructing a non-conventional building. You can see we use all stones, and these stones was actually part of the community involvement in local material supply, right? So all of them are stone coming from the community. Right. Coming to the last part, Pak Aryo, how many more minutes? Hello, Pak Aryo.
Hello.
How many more minutes?
Maybe it's around 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay, right. Maybe less than that.
Okay, please.
So this is the legacy. I want to go back to the first sketch, the Kampung Code community hall, and this becomes, I would say, a main precedence of many buildings designed by not only Darwis Hudori, but also Eko Prawoto, the late Eko Prawoto, because Eko was, although he was not in a part of the design team, but he associated with us for a long time during this this project as well, right? So you can see this our last studio, YPR studio, located on the Northern Ring Road of Yogyakarta. If you're familiar with Universitas Pembangunan Nasional (UPN), well, we demolished that because that university planned to build a campus. So we sold the property, right? And now it changed to the campus, right? So you can see the form. It's closely relates to the sketch of Romo Mangun. Even this one, this is the residence of Darwis Hudori in Bantul. We call it Kupu Putih, or the White Hut. It was built to host educational activities such as discussions, art performance, exhibition, etc. So in a way, there is a dimension of altruism here, that becomes part of the legacy of Romo Mangun. How he, in this case, Darwis, led these facilities to be open for public, for educational activities, for discussions. Last time, I think 2 weeks ago, I was not there, but there was performance activities as a result of collaboration between Africa and Papua. So there's a dance activities there. And Darwis, let it use it for free, right? So that kind of attitude, it seems to me, becomes part of the legacy of Romo Mangun, the altruism, the the willingness to help others, in any way, right? Not about the giving money, right? But giving services, right? You may also familiar with this. It's called Kampung Warna-Warni in Malang, East Java. I was told that this kampung was almost got evicted, right? These pictures, the right one, I took it in 2016. It's already rearranged. I mean, painted. I think it was Universitas Muhammadiyah Malang students who work with the CSR of a paint company, and they did this painting, and they said that in a document that I read, it was inspired by Kampung Code, right? Turning the slum into the work of art. right, as part of strategies of negotiating the security of tenure. Before intervention, you can see this. It was partly subject to threat of evictions. Now, both sides already colorful. I don't include the whole photographs, but you can just easily find in the internet that all of the kampung across this Chutipan also follow the path, right? And it becomes tourist destinations. I guess that's all I can share with you. If you have any questions, I would be happy to respond. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Pak Wing, for sharing with us about your experience to work together with Father Mangun, and then how you involve in YPR or Yayasan Pondok Rakyat, and then you work in some of the project together with the team and also with the coordination with Father Mangun, and also you stated about how and explain about the famous word of Wastu Citra, and then Wastu is not only limited to the meaning of use or function, and also Citra is not only limited to the aesthetic only of the architecture part, and then also you talk a lot about the assemblage of power from the informal designing activity in River Jude. Then there are a lot of strategy, just like 3M and so on, to make it or to secure the tenure of the land in informal settlement like that. Okay, I think before went to the discussion session, I also would like to welcome Prof. Ilya Fajar Maharika as the Dean of Faculty of Civil Engineering and Planning, Universitas Islam Indonesia. Good afternoon, Prof. Ilya. And also, I would like to welcome Professor Dr. Johannes Widodo from NUS also. Hello, Prof. Johannes.
Selamat siang.
Selamat siang, Prof. Okay, and then for all of the participants, please feel free to write your discussion on the chat box, and then later we will try to, maybe we cannot read all of the question over here, right, Mr. Wing, because we have a limited time, but I think we can choose several of the question. Okay, I think before we open to all of the participants, firstly, we would like to invite Dr. Sasikan Sirisopon from Rangsit University. Have you joined this session, Doctor?
Okay, you listen me?
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, can you hear my voice, Dr. Sasika?
Okay. You can hear my voice?
Yes. Please,
Okay.
Doctor, if you have some insight or you want to share critics or question.
Yeah, I have a little question. First, I have a great lecture, and I have an idea about this concept of design. I have a question. To what extent do people participate in the environment of housing in slum? Yeah. To what extent do people can participate in improvement our housing? Their housing. Yeah.
Okay, so you mean the participation of the
Yes,
housing from the
yes.
informal settlements?
Yes, yes.
Okay, maybe Pak Wing, you can
Directly answer?
Yes.
Okay. Well, if the question is related to a common practice, then of course most of the slum dwellers, including in Choti, in the River Choti, there used to be some of them are homeless, some of them are coming from other cities. They may have own houses in the village, but because they don't have the capacity to make money in the village, so they go to the city, right? And they becomes, homeless. They don't have place to stay, right? So the slum, the place where they stay at that time was actually a very small hut made of a cardboard, a plastic sheet, etc. Right, and it looks very bad. It was a collection of, I don't know, maybe we call it a tent, a temporary shelter, a tent, but it looks ugly, right? So that's why the government has a reason at that time to clear up that, right? So what Romo Mangun or Father Mangun did was to improve the quality of that settlement or shelters, so that they can prolong their stay there, right? So this is not if you look at this as this is not a government project. It's I see it as a personal project. The keywords is altruism, a philanthropy. There's a philanthropic mindset or altruism mindset, and that he has a power to. It's not easy, right? Because his position as a Catholic priest is often, people see it as suspicious there, right? You won't believe that he is a Romo that, because Indonesia is Muslim majority, right? And he invited the Ustad is the Muslim or clerics, maybe, right? Teachers. He to teach how to read Quran, right? Which is because he want these people to remain. He give an option for those settlers to remain there, right? They don't have anywhere to go, right? So yeah, that's the only option at that time. I'm not sure today. Maybe it's already almost 40 years. So that's probably there are changing of people who live there, right? I guess that's my reaction. I hope it satisfies you.
Okay, maybe from Mrs. Sasikan, any response to that?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wing, for answering the Mrs. Sasikan question. I think the next chance, I will give this chance to Professor Johannes Widodo from NUS. Hello, Professor. Have you still in this
Okay.
session? Okay, please.
I'm not asking questions because
I'm afraid to.
I have a very close relationship with Romo Mangun, and it's also in Jogja, right? I'm far away from Jogja. But I think the last statement that you make about the priest, he's a Catholic priest. But I think it's important also to understand that he's coming from a diocesan priest, or Pastor Raharjo. So it's not belong to the order. So it means that he's a liberal priest.
Right.
And because he's taught as a liberal priest, so I think there are several interesting things that we can discuss now, beyond the aesthetics, beyond the tectonics. Because long before we talk about sustainability, carbon neutrality, he already practiced that even during his study in Aachen in Germany. And he published the first book, Pasal-Pasal Pengantar Fisika Bangunan. So his approach to architecture is really from environmental perspectives, from the building physics. Then, if you look very carefully into that book, it's very clearly that his approach is really about passive design, about circular economy, about carbon neutrality. And that is 1970s, right?
Yeah.
We just talk about that now. So it's I think his thought is really very advanced, earlier than the time. He already predicted all this issue of environmental issues, social justice, and so on. So that's why when he deal with the issue like Kali Chode, he already dealing with the bottom-up approach, community-based development. The terms that we just understand from a few years ago, even placemaking, right?
Yes.
By those color paintings,
Yeah.
by placing the wash area at the middle of the kampung. So he already knows about and practicing all of these things. Then, of course, if you look into the another aspect of Mangunwijaya, he's also influencing the different types of architectural educations. He's the advocacy of blended learning. He don't believe in the classroom learning.
Yeah.
Long time ago, we just talk about blended learning, flipped classroom model now. But he already practiced it by rejecting the offer as the head of departments in UGM.
Yeah.
And then as Tete Musi in 1990s, he's also asked him to be the first dean for architecture. There's a Catholic school in Palembang, and he refused. So I still have the full text of his rejections, the letter of rejections. And it's not about the rejection itself that is interesting, but his positions. The education should not be producing elites, people who become oppressors. And that is, because of his background as liberal priest, as people who believe in empowerment and advocacy. So I think if we can discuss this a bit more, I think it's interesting to write something, either as an essay or book or even seminar, to crystallize all this thought that is very relevant actually for the contemporary time. And maybe we can revisit some of his idea.
You're right, yeah.
And then we can try to implement that in the current situations of climate change, social justice, climate action, and so on. And then probably we can also improve the curriculum of architectural education based on his thought.
Yeah.
And no one ever write a book about this, no? Mangunwijaya pedagogy and Mangunwijaya position in terms of architecture and concept. So I think this is the next opportunity that probably we can work together.
Excellent.
Yeah,
excellent, Prof. Just to react a little bit, maybe you're familiar with Sekolah Mangunan.
Yes.
SD Mangunan, that's I guess that's part of his philosophy of, educating people, I was, he said that in one of his critiques, he mentioned about, criticize the practice of education in Indonesia, like pendidikan pawang sirkus,
Yes.
like, and I was surprised, in 20 years ago, I organized exchange program between Australian elementary school and Jogja Elementary School, right? And then it's an exchange. So the teacher observed how, how they teach, how the partners teach, right? So when Australian teachers look at the way the teacher here conducts the teaching, they said to me, I think they're not teaching, they're instructing. And it suddenly reminds me of Mangunwijaya, between the concept of teaching and instructing, right? So he was, Mangunwijaya used to mention about pendidikan pawang sirkus in one of the newspaper. I don't remember which one, maybe Kedaulatan Rakyat or Kompas, right? And that is in line with what you just mentioned a couple of minutes ago. I think that's, I agree with you.
And I'm also interested to who is the lady from Thailand, right? Just now. Because in Thailand also, I know somebody, but it's not like Romo Mangun, but is known as the condom king of Thailand, Michai. Right. So he has developed a school in Buriram, the poorest country, poorest area in Thailand. And it's the same principles like Romo Mangun. Through educations, he wants to change, to stop the child prostitutions. He wants to stop all this venereal disease. So that's why he educate people to stop the urban immigrations by giving them opportunity and development in the countryside. So the school in Buriram is something interesting examples, and I believe also in different ASEAN countries, like in the Philippines, even Malaysia, they have similar approach. And I think what the direction of what I said now is the future project. Can it just beyond Indonesia? Maybe we need to do something with our ASEAN neighbors within the ASEAN frameworks to bring out all these principles that coming up from the ground with these pioneers. It's not just a publications, but probably also collaboration between several universities to try this.
Excellent.
In practice. We can lead this, right?
Well,
the first university
hopefully.
implemented
there's a team here. I
the
will talk to
professional
the
architecture
chair of
education,
department.
right? In Yogyakarta, in Indonesia.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, maybe Prof. Ilya want to share also or to react this insight by Professor Jonas Widodo. Hello, Prof. Ilya.
Arya,
Oh, okay, please.
actually, he has to leave early
Oh, okay.
of another meeting.
Okay, thank you for the information, Ma'am Nanda. Okay, thank you, Prof. Jonas, for your insight about how Romo Mangun is quite futurist with his idea about writing a lot about passive design, and also the pedagogic sessions is also interesting, not only architecture things or tectonic things that done by Romo Mangun, but also the other things, just like his social involvement and also concern about the culture. Okay, I think it's the time for reading the question from the chat box, Pak Wing. Okay, I'm sorry. I will read the chat, maybe some of the chat. Okay, Pak Wing, maybe the first question is from Bapak Aldrin Febriansyah over here.
Okay.
So his question is about after Romo Mangun passed away, how the development of the Kampung Code after that? How about the sustainability of the kampung till today's?
Thank you, Pak Aldrin. There is one champion there. I'm not sure if he's here. His name is Pak Toto Pratopo. He's I guess I can see him as a guardian of Chode, because he try to maintain the community participations, how a lot of activities that links to the protections of the environment. I think including the initiative that I just mentioned in my presentations, the M3K movement, right? It's genuinely come from the people that live in the informal settlement along the riverbank, because they have association, right? So the association, the community, what do you call it, engagements has been very positive in recent years. And you can see it yourself if you have a chance to observe. Of course, what appears in Kampung Code, it is not like what we've seen in the past. So we cannot, this is quite challenging, because one side, some people try to see that as a quote unquote heritage, because it wants the Aga Khan Award and they want to preserve that, right? But this is about place of living with the temporary materials that sometimes you have to do interventions to maintain that, right? So a lot of the house has already turned to be a permanent, turned to a permanent constructions instead of using bamboo, right? And it's not easy to, to change the, to talk to the people that, okay, you need to preserve that, on the basis of what, right? So I guess that kind of a challenge so far as exists in Kampung Code, right? But Kampung Code is, I see that as just a very small part of settlements that exist along the Code riverbank. If you read if you get a chance to read the work of the Kudari, the Menuju Kampung Pemerdekaan, the message is not only about architectures, it's about the right to live, the right of housing, right? How people, how the government needs to understand the needs of decent housing, for the urban dwellers, right? For the poor people in the city, right? So I guess that's part of the message. If you look at the flood disaster, for instance, it's part of actually strategies of Romo Mangun at that time. He did a research that the flooding is actually not regular. The big flood, the last big flood was during the eruption of Merapi. The rest is not, well, there is a flood, right? But it's still manageable. That's why he did the advocacy using this his approach, appropriate upgrading of the settlements, right? Because he was sure about that the people can stay there longer, right? I guess that's my reactions.
Okay, thank you, Pak Wing.
The other one is Mr. Andrew. Is it correct? Andrew K.
I'm sorry, Pak Wing. Maybe before we go to the question by Mr. Andrew, I think I will let Bu Fania Dwi Amanda, maybe from Universitas Indonesia, to give some thought or insight.
Go ahead.
Halo, Bu Fania.
Halo.
Halo, Bu.
Hello.
Okay, Bu, please, maybe you can share your insight.
Oh, well, it's interesting a lecture from Mr. Wiryono, and I think it's I can see that the thinking and the strategy from the Romo Mangun is really interesting because he tried to answer the problem appropriate with the context and also how the people in the society live in there, and also the environment itself, not only for the people but also the environment, and also he used interesting approach which is participatory. But what the most interesting is, like you said before, he invited youth people like students and fresh graduate to join their project, and I don't know how he engage these youth people and the society in the environment. I mean in that place, how the Romo Mangun can connect the youth people and then the society there. I think it's really interesting because sometimes the people who live in one area will have a different kind of thinking with the youth people, right? So it's really interesting how he can connect it and manage to give a better result for the people there. I think I think it's my comment.
Okay.
Okay,
Right. Yeah. Well, it's part of. I guess it's part of the his strength, right? He is approachable. He's not like someone who keep the distance to. If you look at the pictures that I share, having lunch together, our age difference is quite. He was quite senior at that time, right? And in a normal situation, in a common situation, sometimes you hesitate to talk, and he's just talk like us, So age is just a number for him, for him, So he has a lot of friends from many many levels, including the government including the governments. So that's why he has access. The students, you see that he used to work for Gajah Mada University for a long time, right? And of course, he has a lot of fans, if I may say, that loyal fans, like including Taris Budari and Eko Praworto, for instance. Eko was very close to him, right? He has many projects also with Eko, right? It's a different, what do you call it, different entities, right? But yeah, Eko also helped that. And so those people has actually helped him to organize and facilitates the activity. Also, people, non-architectural students, anthropology students who actually willing to live there and becomes, what do you call it, facilitator. Some of the school even use that as what do you call it, PKL. That praktek lapangan, if I may say,
Yes.
I
right?
know.
Yeah. So yeah.
KKN now.
KKN, yeah, but at that time it's
Internship?
not KKN. It's live in,
I'll live in.
live in and
Okay.
help the people to to do things like I don't know, many skills upgrading.
I
Right.
think it's really important to understand that and to learn that skill to get
Yes.
the better result for designing, like for people.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Also, architecture is not just physical entities for him. So it's about an assemblage of people, of groups of people, and it needs to be organized. So I guess that's part of the lesson learned that many architecture students need to learn,
Yeah.
managing people.
Yeah, it's not just the design, but to connect with other people
Yeah,
too.
yeah. So, right.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bu Fania. Yeah. Okay, maybe we continue with the question, Pak Wing.
Okay.
Okay, maybe the question from Mr. Andrew. So, what is particularly special about Romo Mangun's contribution in Indonesian architecture canon? What would be your answer in short, Mr. Wing?
This is
It's quite difficult because
it's difficult questions because actually, Romo, when you say, for me, it's about advocating the poor, how architecture can advocate the poor, how architecture can help upscaling the condition of people. How can it protect, for instance, in the case of informal settlements, forced evictions, for instance. So, those are the main, because altruism is part of the keywords. But if you say architectural canon, then he's very, if you look at the design of Universitas Surabaya that I just shared, he's strongly also used, I didn't mention, but when I inspect his book, when he made Vastu Trita, he actually, maybe it's a practice that is not acceptable today because he cut the pictures from the Western book, the photograph of Le Corbusier work, etc., and then glue it, layout it, Nowadays you use computer, but at that time he used that strategy because he wants to. The book was very rare at that time, right? So he was very much inspired by Corbusier, Pilotis, for instance, the using foundations and then making a free space underneath the mesh. That's what administrative building of Surabaya looks like if it was constructed. Unfortunately, it was not constructed. Right. So I guess that's my random. I'm sorry, random reactions because it's But anyway, Guna and Citra is probably the canon, if I may say, of or prescriptions of Romo Mangun architectural theory. Is how those two things combine and use as a power to realize your ideas, right? Sometimes Guna has play more than Citra. See, I'm wearing this. I have to, what do you call it? I have to deal with the heat, right? But sometimes appearance is, more priority. I prioritize the appearance by keeping, but I have to. Okay, if I want to have a comfort, I can do it later on when the session finish. So I guess that's part of the negotiation between Guna and Citra, and that's what I learned from Romo Mangun. 2 weeks ago, last week in fact, I met the son of Arif Budiman. Professor Arif Budiman Salatiga.
Yes.
His son works closely with us, UII, and he mentioned that his mother lived there regardless the challenge, but he wants to preserve the design.
Yes.
So the body has to adjust with that, right? And that's I experienced that with the design of Universitas Surabaya. I mentioned in my presentation that it seems to me that he prioritized the Citra, the image, over the function they use, right? I guess that's it, what it is, right? Thank you.
But I'm sorry, Pak Wing, if I can ask a question maybe from Wastu and Citra. I think what is the most dominant one or the priority of the most project that done by Romo Mangun? Is it about the Guna or Citra?
No, it depends on the case.
Depends on the.
Yeah, it really depends on the case.
Oh.
You cannot. And I was very surprised. Like since the beginning, it seems to me that he built trust to the client. Because we got paid. I mean,
Yes.
there's no rejection at all. I mean, like,
Right.
he even established the design team, legalized that, right? It's uncommon, when you assign a client, commonly you look at the, what do you call it, at the design
profile,
firm, right?
Yes.
The legal entities before you decided to choose that. It's a lot. It's a very expensive project, right?
Yes.
So I guess building the trust is important. Maybe that happens also to the big architects like Zaha Hadid, etc.
Yes.
She can freely experiments with the form like that, and because of building the trust, right? So I guess that's my reactions.
Okay, thank you, Pak Wing, for the explanation. I think it's quite complex to define about Romo Mangun in short, because there are a lot of things that become his strength, especially in the process of design. Okay, Pak Wing, I think we can continue to the next question. This is from Pak Galih Gunagama.
Oh, this
He
is
talked
my
about
old friend.
yes, he talked about the process of design, and then how far was his or Romo Mangunwijaya involvement in the construction phase? Maybe
I think it's very close,
experience.
right? Yeah, I think it's very close. It reminds me of my other friends. His name is Laurie Baker. I think I wrote that article in Compass long time ago. He is like that, right? He's very close to the mason, to the carpenters, and he direct his thought. I mentioned about sketch and go. Sometimes he made sketch and give it to tukang, the masons, the construction people, to realize that. And then if he didn't like it, then it just change that. I mean, sometimes it's not cheap, right? Because it's trial and error, right? But that's what is a process of understanding the connection between design and construction, which is nowadays is often distance, right? Construction people and design people is often distance, right? So that's what what lesson learned that we also experience. For instance, in Ketono, he told us to be there, right? To closely monitor, because the person who ran the construction is not has no enough experience. So in a way, this is also part of the educating how architects educate the construction people and learn from each other. And I guess that's part of his strategy in many of his projects.
Yeah.
So
Also,
it's not he rarely use industrialized components, right?
yes.
You look at the windows of Ketono Trappist Convent. It was very difficult for us to create the mold for that, right? But that's that's how he is. He probably this is part of creativity dimension. If you put it in the title of this presentation, the creative process. I guess this is part of the creative process. To be creative, you need to face challenge, and that's I guess that's his strength.
Okay. Thank you, Pak Wing. So Romo Mangun is always involved to the construction process, right, Pak Wing? Just close to the
Yeah, if not, he will assign students or his assistants to be there. Right.
Okay. Thank you, Pak Wing, for the answer for
Anything else?
the question. Then I think
It's
we still have time for one question over here, Pak Wing.
there is a unique
question. I think it's quite same
I
here.
think this is not questions, but it's comments, is it?
From Aska, maybe.
Oh, from Aska. Okay.
Yes, Aska Al-Atar, Pak Wing.
What were the primary challenges?
The primary challenge faced during the Kalicode River redevelopment project?
Well, the primary challenge was the forced evictions, was to fight the government plan. You know the story behind, not only, there is a very complex story behind it. One of them is he planned to do hunger strike, and he almost did that, right? So that is part of his frustration, that at that time the local government even tried to, to push. He already did or advocate the construction process of slum improvement, but still the threat of eviction, it's still there, right? But then, of course, I mentioned about the assemblage of power of the community, and he used that, right, for negotiating to the government, and he made it. And later on, the students actually got the idea of submitting their case to the Aga Khan, right? That's also part of the negotiation, right? It's not easy at the time because you have to do a record and then to redraw, right? The process was not recorded, and if you want to submit to a competition like that, you need to have a record. So this is like a redrawing, making the document out of the existing building, right? Quite challenging at times. And this is also part of the negotiation process of to gain the security of tenure of the informal settlements, right? So I guess that's my reactions of the challenge, the primary challenge.
So-
Others probably very technical, right? Including the recent effort to distance the building to the river using the M3K approach, right? So if you go there, probably some of the buildings are not original anymore, but they maintain the existence of the gathering hall, the multipurpose hall, to commemorate the originality of Romo Mangun architecture.
Okay.
All
Thank you,
right.
Pak Wing. So you say that exposure is become one of the strategy also for securing the tenure, right, Pak Wing?
Yeah.
To get a lot of attention maybe from
Get
the
a lot of attention to get to make it look beautiful
Yes.
using. I think he used to mention about putting a makeup. You know, if a girl put a makeup, it will look different. People will appreciate more. So that's the strategy, right?
It's also influencing today's Jodipan village, right, Pak Wing?
Yeah, well, that's according to the document that the writing and the newspaper that I studied, right?
Okay. Thank you, Pak Wing. I think the time is up over here. And then before we close the session, I will try summarizing our discussion for today's, Pak Wing. And then in this session, Mr. Wiryono Raharjo already shared about his experience to work together with Father Mangunwijaya in YPR or Yayasan Pondok Rakyat, and also involved also in some of the project that done by Romo Mangun and team. And then also Pak Wing also talk about his strength, about how he tried to help and also solving the problem in the informal settlement, and also how he got its famous canon Wastu and Citra about how the building should use or function, and also how the building should have its aesthetic quality. I think and then today's, I think the influence that done by Romo Mangun is very strong. We can see that a lot of architect or maybe young student of architecture still get inspired. And then the concrete examples is one of the village in Jodipan Malang is also try to applying the concept of beautification from Romo Mangun to get the attention. Okay, I think that's all from today's session. Next, I will let MM Nanda to inform some of the continue event for this pre-lecture and also workshop. Please, Ma'am Nanda, the time is yours.
Thank you so much, Pak Aryo. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good afternoon to all colleagues and students and distinguished guests. Maybe I can have myself. Thank you so much, Dr. Wing, for remarkable presentation. Yeah, we will continue our pre-event lectures in the next 2 weeks from now. Inshallah, it will be held on the 14th of June 2014. And I would like to make some announcement to all the students who haven't joined, all the participants, the students who haven't joined our Google Classroom. Please let us know, because if you have some issues, because so far we only have like half of the students joining our Google Classroom. We are going to announce the group distribution, and also the unit masters from each our partner universities, and also share you some videos on the site that you are going to visit, assigned to visit during the workshop in July. Should you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us or to ask to raise your hands here. Maybe we can help you to solve the issues you're facing.
Students, maybe any difficulties? I think later they will inform the organizer, maybe sir, or committee, ma'am, about the question.
Okay. Okay, we have some a student from Bauhaus here, but doesn't say her name. Have you?
So Suzanne from
Susanna.
Bauhaus.
Susanna, how are you, Susanna?
First time with Susanna. Fine.
Okay, good. Good to.
Yes.
Okay, have you joined our Google Classroom, Susanna? Okay, maybe. Okay, so please, for those who haven't joined, if you have some problems, maybe you should join with your personal Gmail, because maybe there is some issues attending from different university account, official university account. Okay, I think that's all from me. Maybe from Bu Nancy, do you have anything to add?
No, Bu Nanda, thank you. No, clearly no. Oh,
Okay.
Susanna still in.
Okay, Susanna said that. Sorry. Okay.
Thank you, Bu Nanda and Pak Aryo. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Bu Nancy. Thank you,
You're
Pak Aryo,
welcome.
for wonderful chair, wonderful moderate, wonderful chair today. Okay, so thank you. I will give it back to you, Pak Aryo.
Okay, thank you, Bu Nanda, for the information about this pre-lecture and also workshop. I think it's the end of our session for today's pre-lecture event. And then once more, thank you, Pak Wiryono Raharjo or Pak Wing, already share your experience about architecture and creative process of Mangunwijaya. And also thank you for all of the family and relatives from Pak Father Mangunwijaya, and also all of the unit masters and all of our beloved participant and student of from several campus that already attend this session today. Okay, I think this is the end. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.